My name is John Tenwinkel. I am Enterprise Group President of Taylor Print and Visual Impressions, and I'm also known as JT to a lot of my colleagues. Grew up outside Milwaukee and had a great childhood. Both of my parents worked. My mom was a traveling home healthcare nurse. When I look back at those times and see how much she was on the road all day long, coming back late and having to do paperwork in the dining room table all night, I look at that as such strong work ethic, and she cared for her patients and she really put her heart and mind into it. And it was really something that I was fond of. I probably haven't told her enough about how much I can appreciate that as I got older. And then my father was a pharmacist, so he had a very 9-to-5 job, so it was different. So he did a lot around the house as well, and on behalf of my mom, and just helping raise a family as he did. But it was a great relationship with my parents and my sister. Even though she was that much older, it was fun to be a little brother and have such an older, cooler sister, I guess I'll say. But living in Milwaukee area was great. It's kind of a flyover state and city, but I call it home. I still to this day do it, and I'm proud to be from Milwaukee. It was baseball season, and then you move on to basketball season, and then you move on to tennis season. And being able to be a kid that way and grow and develop in a variety of ways through sports, and having my parents support me through that. And as a parent now, appreciate running kids everywhere and all around to get to those activities, and appreciating the time you get to spend with your parents. I think that's one part of it. I think another part too, we didn't do very lavish trips. It was pretty much get in a car and drive somewhere. In some cases it was Florida. My grandparents were snowbirds, so they would oftentimes find themselves in Florida, and we would take a car, jump in the minivan, and drive down to Florida, and that was an adventure in itself. If it wasn't there, going out to South Dakota, or kind of just jumping in the car and doing that. And as much as it was putting the headphones on with the Walkman in the back or the Discman in the back, getting out and then spending time together. Those were special moments I don't think you appreciate until later in life and say, man, that was pretty cool. And I hope I can give that to my kids and those experiences, and they appreciate it. Maybe not in the moment, but later in life. Sophomore year, I took a printing class, Graphic Arts 1, and a couple months in, my teacher came up to me and said, "You're pretty good at this. You like this?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." He said, "Well, you're going to do this for your career." So I was probably 15 years old, and by my senior year, Mr. Johnson allowed me to help teach that Graphic Arts 1 class, actually, when I was a senior. And he really influenced, I guess I can say many years later, my entire career, starting with that very impressionable 15-year-old at Eisenhower High School. I applied to only one school, that was University of Wisconsin-Stout, because it has a graphic communications management program. Was accepted there and attended Stout. I followed my teacher's advisement there in high school, and really it came easy to me. It was just in alignment with what I felt I was good at. And in the same way I warmed up to my graphic arts teacher in high school, I warmed up to a lot of the professors at Stout and jumped into clubs that were associated with printing and extra lab work on the weekends. And it wasn't because I wanted to kiss up, it was because I truly enjoyed it. That doesn't go unnoticed, and I've developed relationships with professors from Stout even to this day, and being able to talk and catch up with them and really help them understand how much of an influence they were on me by just giving me that extra or that extra push, or those extra opportunities because they saw that I was interested in it. At Stout, you had to do a co-op for my program, mandatory internship. And I had a friend who had just come back from New York that was just raving about New York City. And I'd never been to New York, even in some of those travels. And I said, you know what, I'm gonna do my internship out there. So I had, you think printing, you think New York, right? No, not normally if you're a Midwesterner, but I decided it and I was gung-ho on it. And I said, I'm gonna go to New York to do my internship. I went to whitepages.com, typed in printing 10001, and just started picking up the phone and said, do you need an intern for 3 or 6 months? I'm from the Midwest. I had a little script there, a lot of hang-ups, but ended up getting 4 interested parties, which I then used my spring break to the first time ever in New York City to go out there and do 4 interviews for a internship for my program, of which, very proud to say, I got 4 offers and chose one of them, and then moved out to New York City for 6 months. I moved out to New York City from June to December 2001, which was a pretty interesting time to be in New York City. I experienced the planes and the towers falling from the roof of the building that I worked at, 26th and 9th Avenue in Chelsea. So, you know, that time was, I think it was really impactful because I saw what it meant to be a New Yorker. The power of people coming together after such a tragedy like that. You couldn't walk anywhere and not meet someone that either didn't have a family member or a friend or a neighbor that was impacted by that. And thankfully I didn't know anyone personally, but plenty of people in the office did. The time after that was just different. It wasn't normal hustle bustle New York. There was a different feel to the city. And we'd went out on a Saturday night just to get a beer or something, and we saw a guy at the corner of the bar, and he was looking just rough, like just not doing well. And again, back then too, it was, you see something like that, and just being a good human, we just went up, hey, can we get you a beer? And the guy opened up for the next half hour. He was an employee at Cantor Fitzgerald. He did not go into work. He just by chance, and his entire company, everyone that worked in that building, in those buildings, completely gone. And we just listened. And that was, I mean, kind of get hair standing up, because you really think of how hard that hits. And we didn't know the guy. We'd never seen him and never saw him after that. But it changes you when you experience those things and when you hear firsthand experiences of those things. After that event, it really solidified my idea of saying, you know what, I want to start my career here. So after I did my internship, went back to Stout, finished, it was, I'm going to find a job in New York, and if not, I'm going to start college out there and look for jobs. And fortunately, the place I did my internship with, Tana Graphics, said, we want you back. And I started my career in New York. I met my wife at Stout, and we had dated all throughout college. We actually met freshman year in the dorms. And then when she had graduated at the end of December, I was going to extend mine to the end of May. We had both talked about what we want to do, and we decided to move out to New York together. We moved out there together and found an apartment on the Upper East Side as well, and just enjoyed New York. I had my job at Tana Graphics. My wife is an educator. She found a teaching job in New York City Public Schools in Bay Ridge, Brooklyn, which she was in that district, or in that area, 2 different schools in Bay Ridge for her entire professional career in New York. I would ride my bike from the Upper East Side to Chelsea to get to work in the morning, and we just loved it. We loved the city, and I would recommend anyone in their 20s to just do it, to try living and challenging yourself in that. Don't expect to save any money, but really expect to just go head first into various cultures and things you never could imagine seeing and experiencing. That's one of the things I really loved about New York, and the diversity around it. I'd found New York University, NYU, and I was ready to go back and get my MBA. And about a week before, I'm trying to remember the timeline, but I found that they had a graphic communications management program. And it was integrated marketing. It was a whole bunch of kind of various topics that I saw very applicable to the career path I chose. And I met the program director, and she was a great salesperson, sold me on it, told me I don't want to go get my MBA, I should go into this program. And once again, very impressionable, I said, okay, let's do this. And I went back and got my master's degree. And the greatest thing I think about the program we were in, it was adjunct professors and professionals in the industry. So my network and the people that I was both fortunate to learn from academically, as well then create relationships with and be mentored again with, were people in this industry. Actually, one of the professors I had a business in New Jersey and called DG3, they're still around. And he said, hey, you know what, you got to come work for me. During my education at NYU, I knew what I was paying for and I wanted to make the most of it. I was in the front of the class. I was very engaged in everything. I really wanted to get the most out of it. And he saw that. And he said, I want you to come work for me. And ended up moving from Tanagraphics to DG3 and spent 6 years there. And that was in New Jersey. So I did a reverse commute. At the time, we had moved down to Brooklyn. So I did a reverse commute to Jersey every morning and back, which was tough. I mean, we had a couple kids by then, younger kids. And I'd gone to school at night. My wife had gone to school at night. I mean, you were in the throes of just busy young parents. And the thing was, I was learning a ton. It was tiring, it was exhausting, but I had people that trusted me and put me in positions to be successful and challenged me and gave a seat to me at the table to be on the senior leadership team. So I loved it. As tiring and strenuous as it was, I loved it. That was probably then about 10, 12 years into my career. At that time, my network had expanded quite a bit, and I had known an organization called D-Scoop, which was run through, it's a not-for-profit, and it's a user group of HP Indigo companies, not-for-profit. So it was an opt-in thing, and they were looking to drive a new educational program and drive more value to their membership through great educational platforms. And they needed someone to run it. And I said, you know what, I'm doing great at DG3. I love the people. I've learned so much. I can come back to a type of role like this. So I said, you know what, let me try to do this. And it was not the career path progression that you could take. It was a little bit of a step to the left, which I'm extremely thankful for in what I did. It was a global position. I got to travel and see other areas of the world I'd never seen before and get to meet people and see how amazing and different perspectives people have in this world. And even to this day, I think it was Printing United this last year, I had not seen a business owner from the UK in many years. I saw him, gave him a big hug. Like, it was just a special time to be able to expand my network like that. My wife got pregnant with our fourth child, and our 1,200 square foot Brooklyn apartment wasn't getting any bigger. So we kind of had to look at ourselves and say, all right, we had a 5-year plan. We're here going on 13 years now. It's probably time. We appreciated growing up by our grandparents and our family, and we said, you know, it's time to get back to the Midwest. So we found Chaska, Minnesota. My wife is from the area south of the Twin Cities here. She did all the research and finding where we can go in schools and where we can really grow our family and get older together. So that stunted a move from Brooklyn to Chaska, Minnesota. And I got to tell you, to have not just a parking space now, but to have a grass and have that suburban lifestyle that, you know, I kind of rolled my eyes growing up on and growing up with, it was a pretty good thing. I stopped working at D-Scoop, mutual, hey, I want to get back to more business management. The not-for-profit speed just wasn't my speed. Great organization to this day. But I'd known through an expanded network some of the team at Shutterfly. So timing was right, relationships were right. So I ended up starting at Shutterfly in the Shakopee, Minnesota facility. So Chaska was very convenient for that. And there was some urgency needed. So I think I started in June 2015. We weren't going to move into our new house until July, so I did a long distance commute with a 8-month pregnant wife with 3 other kids at home in 1,200 square foot Brooklyn. So a bit of a challenging time, but we made it, and And then I started my career at Shutterfly, or continued my career at Shutterfly for about 5 years there. I thought the culture at Shutterfly, and when you look at it from our industry, it was one of the pinnacles, right? And to think, wow, I've got the opportunity, I'm moving my family, we're gonna settle in Minnesota now and continue to raise our kids. I'm at Shutterfly, and life throws curveballs at you, and I was offered an opportunity to follow someone actually who had worked at Shutterfly that I had a great relationship with, to go to a company called 4Over. And I was not very familiar with them, and you'd heard of them, but I didn't know much about them. And I got to learn more about what they did, and I said, this is interesting. This is gonna be a hard decision if I decide to go on. But what I appreciated is there was, again, recognition of, I think, the value I could bring to an organization and the timing of which, and the maturation that they were at, where it was a really good fit for what I could bring. And having a really good discussion with some of the Shutterfly leadership, they really encouraged me to do it. They said, you know what, you have every right to take this position because you deserve it. You'd be a great fit for it. And frankly speaking, we don't know how we could offer that to you right now or when we could offer that to you. So they are great. Again, another situation where I continue to talk to a lot of people, still really appreciate the organization, but then spent some time at 4Over, about 5 years there. I had this diverse experience that dabbled for over a decade in e-commerce driven custom manufacturing and print, and another 10 to 12 years in more commercial driven, in a very intense environment in New York with printing in there. And I think just the balance of not just the experiences, but the positions I held in those was really just a great formula to bring and have all that to come to Taylor. I've worked for private equity owned companies, I've worked for publicly held companies, and they're great, but we've got such a strength and such a position in our industry to really define the next 50 years. And I know that's kind of real big picture, and it's maybe a little bit of ego driven from a Taylor ego, but who else can help shape it? And who else has the ability to shape the future of marketing communications other than Taylor? My oldest is a dancer. She's been dancing since she was 3. My middle two kids are, club softball, club volleyball. They did basketball for a number of years. My youngest loves her oldest sister in terms of wants to be like her, so she's in dance now, and it is crazy busy right now, but I wouldn't have it any other way. It's great. I think the best thing about being a dad is experiencing my kids learning and getting older and creating their own opinions and perspectives. When there's good, taking a step back and saying, you know what, they came to that conclusion. I think I'm doing something a little bit right here, but also how much pride you can take when you see one of your kids accomplish something or say something that really is, wow, like that's exciting. So I think the best thing is really seeing them grow and develop and be able to see how they look at the world through their eyes, through their experiences. And it just fascinates me. I love that. I love to be able to experience that and really enjoy through their eyes how they're seeing it. As difficult as that will be. I mean, every kid's gonna have challenges and coaches and or teachers or whatever that is, but and it's not like I take pride in them going through those struggles, but being able to experience that and pushing and gently nudging them into thinking through it, I love that part of it, I do. With my family, we had not gone back to New York as a family until only a couple of years ago. And obviously my youngest was not born there, but the rest of them were born in Brooklyn. Started their grade school careers in Brooklyn. So a couple years ago, we took a family trip together, got on a flight and went out to New York. And we did some typical New York stuff because you wanted to, because the kids were young when we had lived there. So it was fun to kind of, let's be tourists as well. But then we also spent time in our old neighborhood, and my wife being a teacher locally, I mean, you can walk down the street with a family, oh, hey, Mrs. Tenwinkel, hey, you know, I mean, she's part of the community, being a kindergarten teacher and first grade teacher there. We walked through Central Park, we went back to our old neighborhood where the kids grew up, and we're walking down the block, and one of the restaurants, which was right around the corner from where we lived, we're like, oh, we got to eat there again. And walk in with the family, and the same people, the owner, manager, they're like, oh, hey, what's going on, Tenwinkels? And they're, what are you doing here? Are you moving back? Like, it was like we had never left. And this was probably 4 or 5, no, sorry, even more than that, 6 years later. And had a great meal. Again, sat outside, saw some old neighbors walking by. Oh, hey, and what are you doing? And just stopping and just getting back to it. And went to the old playgrounds where the kids used to play. So I think it's such a special memory because my youngest, A, had not seen it yet, but my oldest 3 were piecing together their memories. And, you know, the playground, oh, we used to do that, didn't we? And, oh, so-and-so was here. And it was just so much fun to go back there as a family and experience that together.